Hi, it's Jamie with University of Kentucky Extension, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite holiday plants, which is the commonly known as Christmas cactus or Christmas cacti. These are some of the easier to care for holiday plants. Many families have some of these that they've kept for years. I hear regularly from people whose grandmother gave them her Christmas cactus, and it's an heirloom family pass along now. So I want to talk a little bit about them because they are very easy to care for. They are cacti, true cacti. However, these are indigenous to the rainforest of Brazil. So while they are cacti, they are also epiphytes. And epiphytes are things that grow on tree branches with no true roots in soil, and they root to the branch of the tree, and then they obtain their moisture from the atmosphere and rainfall, humidity, that sort of things. So I personally love lots of epiphytic plants because they are usually well adapted because of that epiphytic nature to dealing with wide swings of temperature and moisture. So they can dry out, they can get moisture. These are not quite as forgiving as some of the orchids and things. However, there are two species of these. This one is commonly known as Christmas cactus. You occasionally hear it referred to as Thanksgiving cactus because with our natural light and the shortening lights, these are short day plants that bloom when the days get shorter. So they typically for me are in bloom around Thanksgiving if I just let them follow the natural day length outside. So let's talk about how you care for one because many people receive these as gifts and there are so many colors. This is one of the most popular ones in this fuchsia kind of red color. You can find them in whites, pinks, reds, oranges, yellows. It just goes on and on. There are so many of these on the market. The other one that blooms in the spring that is related to this is known as Easter cactus, and it has more of a star-shaped bloom, typically in red, pink, white, maybe an orange one occasionally. Those are a little harder to come by, and you don't see them as much. This one is everywhere. So let's talk about this. It is a cactus. However, you need to be aware of that rainforest environment. It does not grow in hot desert conditions. They don't like high heat. They don't like direct sun. So the best thing, the easiest thing, and why I like these so much, is they flower in the winter. You keep them a little more on the moist side when they're in bloom to protect the flowers and keep them looking nice, especially in our dry homes. They don't like that dry air. And then after bloom, you let them dry out a little bit between waterings. What I do with mine, that is the simplest way I have found to care for them and reflower them, is to simply take them out and hang them under trees in the summertime once the temperatures in May reach 60 degrees or better. But these can hang in that shady spot on a tree limb. I try and get them out from the tree where they're not in total shade, but you don't want more than an hour or two of sunlight and probably no afternoon sun. So they need shade. They also need a very light, well-drained potting mix, something that dries out quickly, which means you water fairly frequently. I find that usually in the summer, if we're getting any rain at all, I'm watering once a week or less, and I generally have a routine where I just take the hose and hit everything. So you can fertilize during the growing season, and for me that means when they're outdoors and have brighter light and better growing conditions. I feed a couple times a year. You can shear them back to shape them. You can do all sorts of things, and they will come into flower naturally when the days start getting shorter, and a little bit of cool evenings down to about 50 degrees can help with that. So I often leave mine hanging outside until we start getting down to the low 50s, approaching some of the higher 40s, then you can bring them in. Usually that will be sufficient to trigger the bud set, but on our natural day length cycle here in Kentucky, they're going to bloom around Thanksgiving. You can manipulate that to push them more toward Christmas, but it's a lot of work and most people don't enjoy them at Thanksgiving and love them for that alone. This is Holiday Cactus. Hope you have enjoyed learning about them, and I hope you'll add some to your collection. I have 6 or 7. Some of them are 8 and 10 years old. They can get 3 feet across. They start out fairly upright when they're young, become more draping, and a large specimen is truly beautiful. Overwatering is the biggest enemy. Lack of light would be a close second. So do not keep them standing in water. Let them dry out between. Make sure the soil is well drained. Repot occasionally. And they're very easy to propagate. You can just break off little pieces, root those, and it's a good idea for Grandma's old specimen plant to have some babies coming along at the side because sometimes these will unpredictably just perish after having grown in soil for years, the soil breaks down and things. So I like to, every few years, make some little new ones just in case, because if you've got a plant that was really precious to you, you don't ever want to lose that. So holiday cactus, Thanksgiving cactus, Christmas cactus, whatever you call them, they're great plants, easy to grow, and very rewarding. One of the few holiday plants that you can keep from year after year after year. Hope you'll try some for your holidays.